animals to come in to watch us.
They are not wild animals. They are merely feral beings.
They're absolutely wild animals.
Okay.
Feral is too wild.
So let's start by noting today is Festivus.
Okay, shout out to Festivus.
It is a Festivus for the rest of us. I was going to bring a Festivus pole with me.
Okay.
On my way out of Las Vegas, I went to the Spearmint Rhino. I cut a deal to get one of their world-renowned Festivus poles. It reeked appropriately of sort of shame, desperation, and disappointed fathers.
Okay.
But it turns out it doesn't fit in my car. So we don't have a Festivus pole.
That's too bad.
I know.
But shout out to wild rhinos.
Spearmint, yeah. Wild,
got you,
feral,
I got you.
whatever it may be.
I got you. Feral rhinos, wild
Yeah.
animals. All right. My SAT vocab not as high as Max.
I find tinsel distracting.
I have to use. Do you want any cookies?
No, I don't
Vanta
believe in
cookie. Vanta
Danish
cookie.
cookies. We are a
Shout out to
multicultural
JJ.
production.
Shout out to JJ De La Garza got me this. Shout out to Evelyn who got me a watch which I'm not wearing now. Shout out to 7-Bet Jesus. 7-Bet Jesus. We're gonna wait for these wild animals to come in. These feral wild animals. Come on, Sandy Joy, Matt Benjamin, you in the Twitch chat?
I mean, people should be coming out in droves to see you interview someone of my stature, my caliber, my renown.
Sure, standard. Hashtag standard.
Damn straight.
Oh, there you go, Matt Benjamin. Matt Benjamin, did you email Live the Bike? Because I still have to send you the T-shirt. Apologies.
Matt Benjamin, it is a pleasure having you with us this evening, and I hope to bring your level of ire and rage down just a tad.
Here we go.
Okay.
So, hold on, I'm going to wait for more feral. Shout out to Patrick Kern. He's LFG.
Patrick's my boy.
Ooh, thumbs up. 5 thumbs up. There's no thumbs down.
Well, there you go. Who would disapprove of us, Wayne?
Well, it wouldn't be disapproving. It's because you're a lawyer and I'm Asian, so my guests actually have.
I mean, it's the week
standards.
of Christmas. Of course, it's going to be a Jew and an Asian, and just categorically speaking, the odds are you're going to get a lawyer and a poker player with that grouping, right?
I don't know about the poker player part and the lawyer and doctor.
I don't know. Walking around the floor of the bike, it seems that way.
Oh, we got a thumbs down. I jinxed myself.
There you go. It was probably Patrick.
No, it wouldn't be Patrick.
Okay, I kid.
Matt Benjamin says, "Thank you, Mr. Verstandig." Squad leader 1.
Yes.
1 says thumbs down.
Well, he's victorious. He is victorious in his disapproval. That's why he's the squad leader.
Oh, shout out to Guido. He's in the chat.
Guido and I had an absolute delight of a Halloween game on Live at the Bike.
Right, I remember.
That man has more personality than half of the shows on the Las Vegas Strip. And he knows his meats. I mean that in a sincere...
Yeah, you fed me.
Yeah.
What's up, SS the G? He showed me how bossy he was. We went out to Wood Ranch, and then something wasn't right with the service, and he conversed with the manager, and we had a free meal.
It is important to have standards and expectations when paying for food. As I was telling you before, one of my quirky rules in life is I will not wait in a restaurant, mostly because I'm terrible at small talk, which is going to be really evident as this goes on tonight.
Okay.
So just standing idly by a bar chatting with someone is my nightmare. But that hit its apex 6 months ago. I was in El Paso. A friend of mine had told me to go eat at a restaurant. They didn't have any tables available. And rather than sit there and indulge their sort of snarky wait for your food, I got on my feet, walked across the U.S.-Mexico border. It became Donald Trump's living nightmare for a few minutes. Had a lovely meal in God knows what province or state of Mexico. Got myself back into the U.S. of A., and I'm happy to be here.
Well, that's a story from I actually heard this one a little bit, not the details, but I also am impatient for food. And so when there's a way, I don't know, it could be 20 out of 5 stars, and I'll just be like, I'm going to Jack in the Box.
I mean, we live in a generation where there is an open table app and there is a reservation system.
Yes.
I think it's Vegas and D.C. are my two sort of respective homes. I'll stand in line at Tacos El Gordo at 2 a.m. Because that is a deeply cultural experience that makes me proud to be an American.
Okay.
But if I'm going to go sit down at a restaurant, they better have a seat roughly when I arrive, or the whole experience is deflating. And I'm not the sort of guy who's going to go sit and stand around your bar and buy drinks.
What about Pink's after clubbing, the hot dogs thing?
I have never been to Pink's, but I love the old Jackass clip where Brad Pitt gets kidnapped at Pink's.
Really?
Yes.
I haven't seen that one.
They had Brad Pitt kidnapped. That was like the pinnacle of MTV.
It wasn't Britney Spears' debut of Baby One More Time.
I mean, okay, so Britney is, an American. So,
International, not American.
but okay, before Britney, we had Kurt Loder. We had, I don't remember her name, but she was equally wonderful. I mean, MTV was a big part of my childhood. My first music video was Celine Dion, My Heart Will Go On.
Okay.
I quote
Shout
that
out to
far too
Titanic.
often. Yeah. We don't give away the ending.
All right, shout-outs, and then we're going to start this up. Shout-out to Orbital. Shout out to JJ Del Garza, who is outside. Sub J Bro. Of
JJ.
course, Guido, who is already there.
Love you,
Patrick
Guido.
Curran, once again, Wisco Inferno. And as you guys know, Mac Verstandig is taking on the Mike Postle Stones case, and we are not going to cover that. We're just,
We don't talk about things we're currently handling. It's there. It's a thing. We're going to move right on there for tonight.
So, this is the PokerCraft podcast on Live at the Bike. I'm your host, D22 Soso Wayne Chung, and this is Mac Verstandig, as we said. So, Mac, let's get started with your personal story and how you got into poker.
Yeah, that seems, I suppose, like grounds upon which to start. I am from the great state of Maryland. I grew up in the Washington, D.C. suburbs. Wonderful childhood, loving family, great parents. Went to college, had a quiet, normal collegiate existence at the University of Wisconsin, ran the student newspaper. No poker. Really, like, no meaningful poker at all in my life.
You know you're under oath, right?
Oh, something close there, too. I think I played in, like, one frat house game, and it's the old cliche story where we used a pinochle deck by mistake, and, like, quads ran into trips. It was a complete shit show.
See, I had to say that you're under oath, and then the truth comes out.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Got into law school at the University of Miami, and I ran into sort of a very immediate dilemma, which is it turns out I am not cool. I am not hip. I am not chic. The cool kids do not want to be around me. And in law school, that presented sort of social issues. But a lot of people would go to the Seminole Hard Rock in the evenings and on weekends.
Okay.
Vanessa Russo was class above me.
Shout out to Vanessa.
Vanessa was a super cool kid. Vanessa had like a posse and an entourage
Wow.
before HBO made that chic. Actually, probably right around the time HBO made that chic. So I figured I could, make some sense out of cards. I could go up to the Seminole Hard Rock, learn with these guys. Back then, the big game at the Seminole Hard Rock was 2-2 limit hold'em with an ante.
Wow.
So even if you were like me and you didn't know your ass from your face, if you got completely massacred, it was a $50 night. Which, I mean, we joked about it at the time, but there's sort of like a thank God element to that. Because as we were cutting our teeth trying to figure out what the hell was going on, our lessons came remarkably cheap. Sure. We figured this all out. It's super low stakes, and there was no shaming because we were playing the big game. We looked down at the people playing 1-2 limit because, they couldn't come up to our stakes.
That's pretty snooty. No wonder you became a lawyer.
I was already in law school.
Wait, just because you're in law school doesn't mean you're becoming a lawyer. You still got to graduate. You still got to pass the bar.
I got to tell you, most of the people who went up to Seminole Hard Rock with us on weekends, there's a band of like 6 of us. Yeah. I think only 2 of us ever passed the bar. Like, this did not bode well for most people. But I found it relaxing. I loved it. I would bring my books. I'd sit there and study at the table, which is one of the reasons I have such a tight style to this day. It used to be just like fold and start reading and highlighting. And I don't know. Eventually we got no limit. By then I'd figured out what to do. Clerked for a judge. Went to work for a large law firm. Was trying to find a group of people who I thought needed some legal help, who wouldn't care that I was young and who had lots of legal problems. And, I mean, that's the poker industry up and down. So, I don't know. Snowball started rolling.
Shots fired. And you're in Miami. I mean, there's like, we've seen bad boys too. Like, there's a lot of problems.
I mean, I remember my 3rd year of law school, the University of Miami football team, we were the only team in the NCAA with a mortality rate because we had multiple players executed. And then there was this scandal where one of our boosters had been paying off players, but not like the old SMU style with cash in an envelope. It was basically cocaine and prostitutes. And ESPN came down, and we had like this whole breaking news thing, on the lawn in front of the quad. And there was this one student who just deadpanned into the camera, like, we don't understand why you are concerned. Blow and hookers in Miami is a Thursday morning.
Right.
And it's important to understand. I mean, there are relative standards and relative expectations. So, yeah, it was a good place to sort of have my shock value lowered as far as it needed to be to go on to service the gaming industry.
So, guys, Bad Boys 2 really is.
Bad Boys 2 is
True
one of the
story.
great documentaries of our time.
Hey, Reggie! Anyway. For those of you, those three of you who do not get that reference, just search Bad Boys 2 Reggie, and yeah. That scene has, like, no place in the damn movie, yet it just became so iconic.
Yes.
Anyway, so that's how you got into poker, and then just this, like, I don't know, you better take the reins on this one.
No, so, I mean, it's sort of mushroomed. I was, as a young lawyer at a large firm, I wanted to find my own clients. You know, large companies aren't going to hire a 26-year-old kid.
Right.
Poker players sort of became a natural target, and I came to believe...
Because you already know they're suckers, right?
Something like that. No, it's this area that was largely overlooked by a lot of the better higher-end law firms simply because it's stigmatized, right? Fancy lawyers at white shoe firms didn't really want to get down into the mud and the trenches and represent the gaming underbelly of America.
They want the easy cases, like jaywalking and, I don't know. What else is easy?
You know, jaywalking is a crime, and we should encourage everyone to obey the law. Wait for the signal to turn. But yeah, so I started going up to Atlantic City on the weekends. I'd play some poker. I'd pass out business cards. And then I am the one person in the poker industry who benefited from Black Friday.
Right.
So Black Friday happens. I'm a second-year associate trying to meet people who need a lawyer.
And all of a sudden, boom.
Everyone has an asset forfeiture issue.
Right.
And it was a good opportunity. You know, it took a lot of people out to lunch, plenty of good Italian food in Atlantic City. Helped some people fill out claims, got to know people, kept in touch.
That's like sick timing. That's like Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers.
I mean, it's sort of dark, though. I felt like a merchant of death, right? I'm watching this industry I love be absolutely massacred by the Department of Justice.
Okay.
And I'm the guy finding an angle where it's going to benefit me in the big picture. And it ends up working, which is the sickest part.
Well, it can be a win-win-win-win situation.
Yeah, except I think I was the only one winning. Like, everyone else, I mean, let's be honest, Black Friday was not a good thing for our industry.
Right, but, like, if you're recovering money for people...
Right. And we got people their money back.
Right. So that's a good thing, right?
We treated them with decency and humanity and respect, and I think they're happy to see that. And then as other legal issues came up, my phone would ring. We started suing some casinos. We got some good results.
Was that evil or was that not evil? Because you doing the Black Friday thing is technically not evil. And maybe, you know, your morality might be a little...
I have a moral compass.
Yeah.
I'd like to think it is pointed true north. My shock value and sensibilities are definitely degraded after a decade handling the industry's legal problems.
Okay.
I mean, you know, what it takes to cause my face to sort of smirk or break into horror is definitely a much lower threshold than it was when I came out of the, you know, mean streets of Miami.
We're from Miami. Anyway, go ahead.
But no, that's my story. Hung a shingle about 5 years ago. I've been lucky to get some really wonderful lawyers to join me at my firm. You had Kelly Minkin on last week.
Shout out to Kelly Minkin. She's awesome. She's hilarious.
She's amazing. And if you haven't watched it, wait for this to be over because we're really good.
Right.
But once it's over, go onto YouTube, find that video, watch it.
It'll be linked at the end, and it'll be linked down below.
I mean, Kelly is a masterclass in smarts, brilliance, personality, and poker table intrigue. And I'm incredibly fortunate to have her on the team. We've gotten some really amazing other people from the industry to join us. Jamie Kerstetter is part of our team.
Shout out to Jamie Kerstetter.
We love Jamie Kerstetter.
Yeah. Who didn't show up to your Mac Verstandig game.
So she was back east, and there's a dog named Crouton with a Twitter account, which I think factors into that somehow. But we still love Jamie, even if she didn't come to the Verstandig Law Firm holiday party.
By the way, Jamie Shue is really funny in Doug Polk's vlog. Anyway.
She's funny everywhere.
She is, but, like, that's... Anyway. Go on. Shout out to Jamie Kerstetter. Shout out to Kelly Minkin. Who else in your crew?
I mean, on the poker end, that's Molly Mossy.
Molly Mossy.
Minnesota Molly. Minnesota Molly runs our office. She takes care of everything on the back end. She is the one who is our line of first defense as clients come in. She's the one who more or less runs my life on a day-to-day basis. And candidly, huge debt of gratitude. As I was trying to get deeper and deeper into the industry, she's got years of experience on the mid-stakes tours, and she really helped build a lot of connections that made us a better law firm and that helped us further network and make sure no one came in and stole our turf. You got to throw an elbow.
No, that's really important. Like,
yeah.
Like, when you're coming up, one, you're developing your chops. When you first get your job or you're, like, earning money, you're kind of, like, kind of getting used to stuff. When you move all the way to the top, you got to defend your turf. That's almost more important than
this is going to end like a gang war one day. The poker industry is a pretty decently sized chunk of turf.
Sure.
But it ain't big enough for two gangs. And if anyone ever tries to step, believe me, we will throw shoulders.
I've never really thought of it that way, but I guess you have to.
Yes. I don't know who would dare tread. We have the major players.
Right.
But, you want to know what keeps me up at night? It's someone showing up and claiming to have, a better poker face than me and superior local skills. I'm sorry, superior legal skills.
Yes, I was like in the courtroom, right?
Right, yeah.
So, yeah, that's like, same thing. Like, if I were to do stand-up comedy, I might not cut it, but if I tell jokes on Live at the Bike, maybe they think I'm funny. I don't know.
I feel like based on the stand-up comedians in the poker world, you are objectively funnier than most of them.
Oh, thank you. Joe Stapleton. No, I'm just kidding.
Stapes, Norm Macdonald, these guys have nothing on you.
You heard it from Mac Verstandig. He's under oath. I'm just kidding. Shout out to those guys. They're really funny. I actually went to see Stapes at Laugh Factory, and a lot of people were there. Adam Levy, Ryan Feldman, Chris Cyrus, Matt Dornfeld. Courtney was there. Yeah, it was good.
One of the first Live at the Bike games I played on was Joe Stapleton Week, and I think he was like to my left or my right, and it was just impossible to pay attention to the cards or anything else. That man is hilarious and kept us entertained for 4 hours.
And he has actually a true story of, man, who slapped Daniel Negreanu slapping Phil Ivey. Do you know this story?
No.
It's on YouTube, but anyway. When Joe Stapleton comes in, which he is in March,
okay,
it's going to be, but I'll send you the YouTube link. Yeah, basically, Daniel Negreanu slapped Phil Ivey, and Joe Stapleton was there.
Like open palm?
Like open-faced Chinese poker.
Something like that.
Something like that. So, in your poker career, you started with Limit Hold'em, but you do more mixed game and Raz?
So Raz was my first really sweet spot. In the online days, I think because I knew nothing about poker, Raz is a super easy game to wrap your mind around. For those at home who don't know, it's just low stud, right? Worst hand wins. There's no qualifying 8 because someone's got to win the damn pot.
Right.
And one of the things I came to love about Raz, juxtaposed to stud 8 or a lot of the other mixed games, is you have a board lock an astonishingly high quotient of the time. And if you have a board lock, you can really bet with a lot of confidence if you're a young player who doesn't know how to put a read on someone.
Or just doesn't care about money.
Exactly. Well, so yeah, Raz, it was full tilt poker. I was all over those Raz rooms. Loved every moment of it. And then, when my legal career blossomed on Black Friday, my Raz career crashed at the same time. I play the WSOP Raz events every summer. Those are my Christmas. Like, as a nice Jewish kid, those are the days I look forward to.
Shout out to Jewish Christmas.
Yes.
Have you done well in them?
I was doing really well this summer, and I'm not one who likes bad beat stories. I find bad beat stories to be irksome and told far too often.
Okay.
And I'm very open with the fact I don't.
So basically, you can never be a casino host.
I can indulge other people's bad beat stories.
Sure.
I have a very sympathetic face. But yeah, this summer, on day 2, about 20 off the bubble, I had a made 8 on 5th Street. Other guy was showing 2 face cards. We started capping bets. And I don't really remember what happened after that.
But the pot was not pushed
I remember
away.
Jen Tilley suggesting that I need to get up off the floor because I physically collapsed. I remember Adam Owen helping me out of the room.
Was this serious?
Yes.
Wow.
Okay. Not like any medical issues. I was just,
shocked. Right.
Yeah.
And you would have had a bad beat story, except somebody stole your thunder.
This was 48 hours before Bryce Yockey takes the bad beat to end all bad beats.
For deuce 7 triple.
Yeah, deuce 7 triple with a made 2 dealt.
Made number 2, yeah.
And to be clear, this is terrible. It's part of poker. That made me feel better. I owe that man. That was better than anything a therapist could have ever done. Seeing someone else at higher stakes at a final table
More miserable?
I was going to say so much more misery.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that puts things in perspective. All of a sudden, my 8 on 5th Street's a joke.
I mean, 8 on 5th Street, that's like not even close to like a 6, right? Or
yeah, no,
6 is the second nuts, right?
Right, no,
6,
5, Raz, 5 would, 5 is a wheel.
That's just an 8.
Yeah, but I mean, I had opportunities to improve. Obviously, I didn't, but opportunities were there.
But shout out to Bryce Yaki. I also had him on PokerCraft, and we did talk about the bad beat. Are you allowed to talk about your most interesting clients or cases?
I can talk about something.
Or like past cases. Or past
yeah, so
clients.
here's the truth of it. The most interesting things will never be told.
Okay.
Right,
So,
there's...
there, go. Oof. Now you can speak.
Hopefully I sound better.
Yeah.
The really good stories, sadly, don't get told. They're either things that are just buried deep in the realm of confidentiality, or they're agreements, cases that ended with confidentiality agreements where everyone is bound up. Lots of poker players have bad debts. Lots of poker players have no inkling of an understanding as to what is contextually appropriate when someone owes you money. That leads to a lot of very strange 3 a.m. phone calls. Las Vegas is of frightful proximity to multiple legal brothels and of intimate proximity to several illegal houses of ill repute. That leads to a lot of very colorful 3 a.m. calls.
Okay.
One of my favorite stories that I can tell to something of a degree is early in my career, through an intro from a friend and then later through a poker player, I was engaged by a just like dead serious, no sense of humor dominatrix to investigate the legality, because she wanted to be an upstanding legal citizen, of golden showers. And this is in an era before a presidential election or a memo in support of a FISA warrant made those chic.
Okay.
And myself and a young associate of my old law firm spent 4 days doing legal research on, basically various health code violations and various laws governing promiscuity in different states. And that was a fascinating experience.
This fascinates me for sure.
If you want a copy of the memo
no,
for your own
I'm
purposes,
okay. I'm good. I'm good with
folks in the
whatever
Los
we're
Angeles
covering here.
area. If you are into that particular, we're not going to kink shame you. Don't worry.
No. I want my responses to be public. You guys get the reaction video too. I'm just like, What do you have specific cases that you look for, or styles of cases? Yeah.
We're generally looking for one of 3 things. And I guess there is a favorite case that's really less scandalous and more interesting, but not necessarily humorous. I've been fortunate to be general counsel to USTAG since early on in their existence. And this was all very confidential at the time, but it later became public. USTAG, not long after getting off the ground, got served with some SEC subpoenas and underwent an 18-month federal investigation into whether or not they were existing in contravention of sort of governing securities laws, the 33 Act, the 34 Act. And I had the honor, and I mean honor, those are really good guys, of representing them throughout the investigation. And when the investigation wasn't going anywhere, I had this sort of cavalier young lawyer idea, which is if you all aren't going to make a move, we'll make a move. So we actually filed a lawsuit against the United States Securities and Exchange Commission in federal court.
This is awesome. Yeah.
Which was, just utterly horrifying in every way, and you have to not show it, seeking a declaratory judgment that poker staking is not the sale or exchange of securities. And I remember getting in my car and driving down to this regal 100-year-old ceremonial courtroom in the United States District Court for the Western District of Virginia against this seasoned senior government attorney who's been eating people like me for lunch her entire career.
Not so seasoned now after Max threw with him. Anyway.
And I don't remember how long oral argument actually lasted. It really felt like forever. I think we both took 6, 7 turns at the podium. I can tell you, when I left that courtroom, I did not know if my suit was savable. I had sweat through the entire thing.
That's really graphic for this audience.
I'm sorry.
I'm just kidding. We have the most innocent audience. They don't even watch porn.
I would hope not. It's a Monday evening. If you're watching this, hopefully you don't have too many porn subscriptions. That case ended with the SEC dropping the investigation. That was a really cool experience. And that sort of gets into one of the 3 things we do a lot of, which is we are your go-to people for staking. I write a lot of staking contracts. I litigate a lot of staking disputes. And I love it because it goes to the core of what poker is. It's something that's idiosyncratic to the poker industry. It allows us to work with players, which means the world to me. Those are the people I want to be around. And it's something we happen to be really good at, largely because we've been around for most of the big cases. We've handled most of the large ones, so we know the quirks. So that's one. Another is just the generic poker player has a dispute with a casino. Mm-hmm. Those tend to get bigger headlines because those tend to be splashy federal cases where we ask for some obscene amount of damages.
And then it gets settled.
Yeah, normally we're willing to settle for less. Shoot for the stars, settle for the sky. But those are a lot of fun. And those are a lot of fun because, players are at the mercy of casinos. And we need to have a symbiotic and harmonious relationship. And I think part of that is...
where you take a cut.
Render unto Caesar what now.
Okay,
it's important to keep casinos in check. Look, gaming has proliferated massively since you and I were kids.
Yeah, especially since the smartphone.
Right? When I was a kid, if you wanted to gamble legally in the United States, you went to Nevada, you went to Atlantic City, or you got on a boat and you went 3 miles offshore. Nowadays, especially eastern, seaboard and the west, everything other than sort of like the southeast, you can barely drive 2 hours without hitting 3 casinos. And the more casinos there are, the more competition there is, the more we see things like 6-5 blackjack that really just exploit the poor innocent player.
So for those who don't know what 6-5 blackjack used to be single deck with just like normal 3-2 paid blackjack, but people like me took advantage of that situation. So now people like the casino would like to pay blackjack 6-5 in single deck and take advantage of.
There are some that do it in full shoe blackjack at low stakes. And there are multiple casinos on the Las Vegas Strip where the roulette wheel has a 000.
Okay.
Roulette, by the way, for those who don't know,
they got to take a bigger cut now. So everyone's taking a cut.
Everyone wants a piece of the pie.
Right.
The roulette cases always amaze me. If you add up all the numbers on the roulette wheel, you get 666. It is the devil's game, and casinos still exploit people every which way. The fact that I said the devil's name, is that bad for ratings?
No.
Okay.
I'm just acting like
Lucifer, if you're watching, come for me.
I'm not going to tangent. Lucifer is like the morning star. It's before technically is the devil.
Really?
I don't know. I'll go look it up.
I know he went down to Georgia and there was a fiddle. Beyond that, my knowledge base is greatly limited.
That's okay. Maybe I'm reading the wrong stuff, like John Milton's like Paradise Lost, and I don't know. Whatever.
That's the only literary work quoted in Animal House, which is one of the great cinematic works of our time.
Yeah.
There's no real sequitur from that, just yeah. Okay.
You taught me some stuff in law. I've heard of poker markup. And now you taught me what lawyer markup is, so you can explain that to the audience.
Lawyer markup. There are multiple ways we represent our clients. People are welcome to pay us our hourly fee, and on a lot of cases, that is what is sensible. But where we are going after some greater sum of money, and either our client doesn't have the means to pay us, or candidly, we think we're going after a large enough sum of money that I'd rather take a piece of the action, get some skin in the game, and have a really big upside. In lieu of accepting hourly compensation, we will take a piece of the action. It's called a contingency. I'm not going to say on air what my contingencies are, because if I put out something higher than some of my clients have, they'll love me. Right. But if I put out something lower than what a few of my clients have, I'm going to go home to really angry emails. But suffice it to say, the percentage of a contingency varies on a case-by-case basis. We do a lot of it. I will counter this, though, by noting not every case is ripe for a contingency. And you got to understand, from our point of view, it's a gamble. So the upside has to be there.
Yeah.
And there's sort of a law of large numbers thing going on. If we take X number of cases, some of them may zero out, some of them may be a shoddy recovery, but we want to set that off with the ones that are really big recovery.
Right.
I had a guy call me today, and I will not use a name or any identifying details, but he really, and he started the call by saying, I hear you take cases on contingency. And I said, sometimes when it's appropriate.
Right.
And I said, I've got a claim against, I'm not going to use the name of the casino, so we'll just call it Casino-Rama. And I said, all right, what happened? He said, well, the slot machine ate my $10 bill. I said, and then what happened? He said, no, it ate my $10 bill. I said, well, have you called the floor? He said, no, I want to get a lawyer. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, I don't know what percentage of the $10 the guy's planning on giving me.
But he hit a jackpot?
No.
No? Okay.
It just ate his $10 bill.
So he should...
He wants his $10, Wayne.
Right.
And let me be clear, if you're watching, you deserve your $10. Mm-hmm. I believe this. No one should be robbed in a casino. Machines ought not eat your money. But you don't always need to go to the highest caliber of legal firepower. And sometimes I worry that this you don't have to pay for our time reputation leads to getting one too many particularly bizarre phone calls like that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all I got there.
So, I met you through Barry Wood's game. Do you have
yes.
Barry
Woods is one of my favorite people.
How did that come about? I had Barry Woods on PokerCraft too. This is all just the chain reaction. Got to catch them all.
Barry Woods is an amazing individual and an asset to our game in every way. I met Barry Woods on Live at the Bike, probably a year and a half ago. It was the charity series of poker game run by Matt Stout. I have the great honor and privilege of being general counsel to the charity series of poker. Sincere shout out to the CSOP. They do genuinely good work in the poker industry up and down, and they help out a lot of secondary charities, and they get a lot of people who wouldn't necessarily be charitably inclined to support the causes through really cool tournaments across the U.S. So CSOP, toward the end of the summer, was doing a Live at the Bike show. I don't remember what the stakes are.
Probably really large, guys. The largest stakes you've ever seen.
I'm not sure. Let's put it this way.
I'm not an arrow.
It couldn't have been too much of a nosebleed because we did it in the middle of the afternoon, and we ended up getting thrown out because a higher stake game was taking the table from us. Like, we got double booked as a warm-up act.
So basically, what you're saying, it was a 50-50, 100 with 100 big blind ante, and then Garrett, Adelstein, and Andy came in, and there was a bigger game.
I mean, that's what you expect from Live at the Bike. Biggest games in town.
Right, of course.
Yeah. So it was this sort of entourage of individuals. I was scared shitless because I'd never, been in an RFID table and gone through all this. And Barry Woods is at our table. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember what the inappropriate jokes were. I do remember we crossed several lines. I mean, this wasn't like jump roping. I mean, we were just aimlessly leaping across the DMZ.
Barry Woods definitely crosses the DMZ.
Which I really loved. And he laughed when I was inappropriate, and I laughed when he was inappropriate, and there was something of a bond. Mm-hmm. We somehow became Facebook friends because, 21st century, that's what you do. Yeah. And then I think I was bemoaning the lack of something to do in Los Angeles a few weeks later. He invited me on a show. Mm-hmm. And the snowball sort of went downhill from there. And you all have been kind enough to make me something of a fixture ever since.
Sure. I mean,
I grew up loving, my washing machine and my dryer. So it was always a dream to become a fixture myself.
Got it.
That's an appliance joke.
So, I got it. So for the audience that doesn't know, they don't have the pleasure of hearing or reading me and Barry Woods text each other.
God.
So you're one of the few people who sees him. Barry Woods obviously is a recipient. Garrett knows some of it. Andy knows some of it. Like, some people know some. I don't know who knows, but like, I'm going to give some examples.
Barry, this was not my idea.
This is not that Barry.
My phone is hidden off to the side.
So Barry Woods and Garrett are in the game, blah, blah, blah. And then, Garrett likes to play deep stack. And then Barry Woods says, 1,500 max buy-in. Let's see G-Man play 30 big blinds. And I texted back. He said, versus you, he would play 2 big blinds. So one time, and Barry's, very professional. So he tells me when he's late, blah, blah, blah. But he always shows up. He's like, fucking traffic is killing me. I'm too old for this shit. When I die, they will find my withered torso hunched over the steering wheel on the 101. I said, ha ha ha. You'll outlive us all. You're too stubborn to die. Barry says, true that. He says, plus my large penis produces out of necessity its own large. Auction supply.
This was for our game last week.
Oh, yeah, this was
for the Verstandig Law Firm holiday game last Wednesday.
Yeah. And then,
shout out to those of you who watched.
And when he was talking about his penis, I said, that's not a penis, that's a tumor. So, today we're going back and forth, and he's just like, make up your mind. I'm like, I did, and he's like, then you don't need to. Okay, I don't want to read the next part, but he's rattling off the people he doesn't get along with. He's like, those are the only people who would call me, and it's like, I'm like, well, I'm going to call you now, and he says, or I say, honestly, I've been keeping this from you because I'm a hater, but honestly, you have a lot of groupies because of Live at the Bike. They asked me for your contact, but I'm just way too jealous to ever forward them. Anyway.
That man is a legend in his own time.
He's funny.
I've been out to lunch with him, and there are huddled masses who swoon in his presence, come up looking for autographs. It's sort of like Beatlemania, but a little older.
I'm 100% going to take credit for this, where Kitty Quo blocked Barry Woods because he was just being himself. And I told Kitty, I'm like, it's Barry Woods, just unblock him. And she did.
Nicely done. It is good to see you bringing peace and truth to the poker community.
Yeah, I'm just like used to women just not listening to what I say. Definitely not following what I say. But so want to talk about how Kelly Minkin joined Verstandig law firm?
There's not a great story behind this. Kelly and I have known each other for some time.
Okay.
And we've been fortunate to get busier and busier. And one of the things, and I say this very earnestly and honestly, one of the things that has worried me and bothered me a lot over the past year is we're not as quick as we used to be. As our volume of cases has picked up, it is harder to get back to people the same day.
Right.
And I don't like the idea of providing service that's substandard. I know it sounds cliche and self-serving, but that's a big deal. Like, I'm a lawyer. I have no useful skills or talents other than the ability to, sell my own thoughts, inclinations, and words.
And charge every 15 minutes.
Every 6 minutes.
6
tenths
minutes.
of an hour, my God. You think we go quarter of an hour? No
I
way.
don't know. I'm trolling everywhere.
Tenths of an hour.
Tenths of an hour.
So we're looking to expand, and one of the problems we've had in the past is we've hired some people who don't know how to play poker. And we have a couple
I'm
people...
not a client yet. Anyway, go ahead.
No, I mean, look, we have a couple of people working with us now who don't know how to play poker, and that's fine. They're great lawyers, and they contribute to our cases in that vein. But if you're going to understand what's going on with all these things, it really helps to be able to interact with our clients.
Right.
And to interact with our clients, you have to be able to listen to their bad beat stories with some compassion and understand what's going on.
Kelly Minkin has compassion for bad beats?
Kelly Minkin is a deeply compassionate individual who is widely misunderstood if people think otherwise.
Just not to Barry Woods, right?
She's compassionate to those who deserve compassion. So no, she and I started talking toward the end of the summer. At least there's really not much of a song and dance to it.
So basically what happened is, like, Kelly, do you? And she's like, I do. Like,
yeah.
But, okay.
I wanted her to join the team. She's a great lawyer. She's a brilliant tactician. She's also more experienced than some of the people on my team. And I wanted someone who could be a check on me as we get bigger and who wouldn't be afraid to call bullshit to my face. And Kelly fills all of those roles spectacularly. And she was kind enough to join up with us, so she is my partner.
Wow. Can I be a partner?
Oh,
okay. Wow. He didn't even respond to that. Wow. Just wow.
We do need an intern.
Okay. I'm in. Are there any other name poker? Well, where I went this? Yeah, Jamie Cursa.
Yeah, I mean, Jamie. And shout out to Jamie. Jamie is also someone who's been with us for a while, who's really helped us sort of spread awareness around the poker community and point some wonderful players in our direction in their hours of need. And she's also someone who operates as a pretty good check on me. Jamie's got great street smarts, and Jamie can make humorous any situation, no matter how tragic.
So I have a list of legal shows and movies, and do you have any myth? I want to ask you about the Mythbusters. Okay. So first one, because it's a poker show.
Yes.
Obviously, Molly's Game.
Molly's Game. Okay, so Aaron Sorkin film.
Yes.
I believe written and directed.
Yes.
Which is why the dialogue is so kick-ass.
Yes.
I believe there are some liberties taken, and that's an understatement. Let's start with this. The movie sort of builds up, spoiler alert, to this dramatic crescendo where a judge spares her incarceration over the comments of a prosecutor, etc. I do not advise anyone to do what Molly did. It is illegal, and what I'm about to say ought not be deemed condemnation. But for that amount of money, with that cooperation in those circumstances, she wasn't going to jail. This was neither a secret nor a mystery in any way, shape, or form. But the movie does do a good job portraying sort of the baller lifestyle. Mm-hmm. It's also a really good exercise in what you can do if you don't name someone. Right? Because, I mean, that movie rips Tobey Maguire a new one, 7 Ways to Sunday. Oh, sorry. Player X.
Played by Michael Cera.
Perhaps. We'll let it be a mystery. But, you know, I mean, you can't do that sort of takedown job for various legal reasons if you call him Toby or T. Maguire or Toby M. Mm-hmm. So, you know, going with player followed by a letter was well done. Also, and I think this may be on your list, I don't want to jump ahead, anything Aaron Sorkin law-related just necessarily leads to the fact that...
we're gonna, not yet. Shut off Skype. Go ahead, keep talking.
Okay. Aaron Sorkin is the man who brought us A Few Good Men, first as a stage play, and then as, you know, the Jack Nicholson cinematic, You Can't Handle the Truth, spoiler alert, film.
You want the truth.
You can't handle the truth. Which one of the better Demi Moore performances before the...
Ghost. I'm just kidding.
There you go.
The Ashton Kutcher marriage.
I think she was still with Bruce Willis back then, right? I've heard the three of them vacation together.
I mean, everybody knows I'm joking. I still don't want to throw people I don't know under the bus. Anyway, go ahead.
Demi, if you're watching, we love you.
Okay.
Ashton, if you're watching, we
love
feel
Ghost.
different about you.
Dude, Where's My Car? Shout out to Phil Stark.
Love Phil Stark. Yeah. Played with him on the show once. Phil's a great guy.
Yeah.
Yes. Funny guy.
Yes. I know.
Yeah.
I know and I know.
I mean, one of the things I've come to love about Live at the Bike, and I think this is largely courtesy of just our, you know, geographic proximity to however many writer rooms, there are some genuinely funny people on the show. Matt Salzberg has become one of my favorite people over the past couple of years.
Who wrote Entourage, who's one of the writers on Entourage. Yeah.
There you go. And I believe one of the characters from Entourage has, in real life, become involved in poker as well.
So, allegedly, Randall Emmett may have been the inspiration for Turtle. In Entourage.
Yes. Randall Emmett, who produced The Irishman.
Shouts to Irishman.
Potentially the best picture of our year. I haven't seen the Adam Sandler flick yet, but Irishman's in a pretty solid first place.
Shout to Scorsese.
Love that. Love Pesci coming out of retirement.
Yeah.
I mean, great film. Did not feel like 3.5 hours. Felt like no more than 3.25 hours.
Did it feel like 2.5 men?
Maybe.
No. Yeah. Few Good Men. Anyway, go ahead.
I don't know where we were. But yeah, A Few Good Men, great film.
Legal film. Okay, anyway.
So, look, here's going to be the common denominator, though, and we'll talk about each of them. Oddly enough, with the exception of My Cousin Vinny, none of these films follow the rules that govern court procedure. And it is a somewhat irksome experience as an attorney. Mm-hmm. When I was in law school, like first year, I used to watch Law & Order because, you know, great television. By second year, I couldn't watch it because I was like chucking clementines at the television as I would object to things.
Yeah. This happens with a lot of like occupations or just movies about, you know, certain occupations, and when the actual person watches, like, you know, spy thrillers or something that's like Navy SEALs, like the real ones just go like, what the F is this?
The suggestion that like Super Troopers is not an accurate depiction of an inner city police force always worries me.
That one's real. I mean, that
would
one's
hope
real.
So, yeah.
Anyway, like, what about Michael Clayton? That's Tony Gilroy.
Yes, haven't seen Michael Clayton in forever, but I mean, again, exaggerated to the gills and back. Yeah,
it was exaggerated.
I think so. I haven't seen it in a long time, to be honest. I'm sorry.
It's Weeze's favorite movie. I'm like, sorry.
Just because it's exaggerated doesn't mean it's not great. I remember when I was a kid, one of the hospital TV shows, I don't think it was ER, it was like Chicago, whatever the heck it was, did a show where they used leeches. And there was outcry over the fact that they were using leeches. Okay. And I mean, my attitude is, if it's good entertainment, use an Eye of Toad. I don't care.
Right. I don't know. Let's see. My Cousin Vinny, then.
Okay, so My Cousin Vinny, the cool thing about My Cousin Vinny is it actually follows the rules of evidence and the rules of criminal procedure to a hilarious... I mean, the whole thing is an absurd construct. But the movie actually follows the rules, which makes it shockingly tolerable. And watching Marissa Tomei in the cabin in the woods lecture Joe Pesci about discovery is beyond spectacular. Really great performances, really enjoyable movie. Most lawyers love that. the way poker players sort of adhere to rounders. Yeah, there's a string raiser or two, but for the most part, it's accurate, so you can look past that.
Not only that, like people often criticize movies for having fake poker hands. I'm like, you guys have seen like high stakes live, like dude, anything freaking goes. Like if some of these hands were on movies,
well, I mean,
they'd be like, this
Bryce
is so
Yockey,
fake,
right? Final table of a high-end tournament, under the lights, World Series of Poker, people commentating live. Surely you're not going to get dealt a pat number 2 and have some guy who I think actually had I think Josh had a 6 dealt.
Yeah,
which
he had a
made
6
it,
in his,
right.
Yeah, 6 in sand.
Right, 6 dealt, was drawn too nonchalantly. I mean, that would be too absurd for Hollywood.
Yeah.
But it's poker. These things do genuinely happen.
Right.
I've never had someone with an Oreo tell. I do sort of look forward to that day, though.
There are like, as ridiculous as that one is, and one, it's a movie, so they do need to, make a point, even if beating your head on a stick with it. There are definitely like some tells that are analogous to that. Like, not in everyone, but you can spot certain people.
I know that I have wild and exaggerated tells when I play on Live at the Bike. And one of the things that is sometimes difficult and, I don't want to say burdensome, but awkward, is explain to people that Live at the Bike's real games. But when we're on low-stake hands and we know each other very well...
Yeah, you just mess around.
Right, especially like the Barry Woods games every month.
Yeah.
That's basically a home game with a camera.
Right.
We are more interested in fucking with one another for sport than we necessarily... I'm sorry.
Just kidding. No, I was surprised because I thought you guys were playing Cutthroat, like Kelly Meekin and Barry Woods. Anyway, but that's the Mac Verstandig game, not the Barry Woods game. So
right.
it's two totally different.
But like, I know I am more emotive there than I am when I'm sitting.
Oh yeah.
In the high stakes room at the Bellagio or the Encore,
right.
And I actually do want to slit people's throat for sport, which can be a good time. I mean, everyone needs a good bloodletting.
It's like a natural progression because the first time you play on camera, you're like kind of nervous, and then after you do it, you kind of like laugh at yourself, and then you're on camera, then you just like troll yourself, you troll the show, you troll the audience, and just like it's a natural progression.
So for the science nerds out there, and I have to imagine there's a high quotient of high school science students watching this, it's Heisenberg's theory of uncertainty, or the principle of uncertainty. Right? An object under observation will never behave in the same manner as an object not under observation, because the existence of the observatory construct changes the environment in which it is in. And at the end of the day, we are all objects, and Live at the Bike is one massive observation.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the games really do hew very tightly and closely to high-stakes games without much of an exception.
Sure.
The Friday games, people aren't playing that stuff up for the camera. I mean, that's killer money.
Right.
But yeah, it's possible that when we're 3 bottles of wine into Barry's game and, 22 ethnic slurs into the night, perhaps our ranges broaden just a tad. Perhaps 5-7 off is not part of my usual high-stakes range, but I don't know. Late position with Barry coming up, why not?
Sure.
Yeah.
So other, high-quality, prestigious legal movies, Legally Blonde.
Legally Blonde. So Legally Blonde, one shout-out, I don't know if it's FedEx or UPS, but amazing product placement for his product placement. As someone who did not go to Harvard and who has never walked...
Harvard.
Yeah, Harvard Yard, and who never really had any of those apples, to quote our boy Matt Damon. It was reassuring to see that that's really all it takes to get a Harvard legal education. So, as a lowly University of Miami grad, that made me feel better about myself. Legally Blonde is hilarious. Legally Blonde is fabulously absurd. And if I ever have a case that turns on the timing of a perm, I'm shit out of luck, but thank God there are some excellent lawyers at my firm who know how that works. I've never had a perm. I don't know about you.
Not me. Has Kelly had a perm?
I've never asked her.
You hired her without asking her? She's never had a perm?
She's my partner. Say I hired her to be an understanding.
Okay.
But, there are workplace questions that we don't bring up, and yeah. But, I mean, your hair looks so smooth and flat, I have to think it's somewhat permed.
I only have, 2 hairs left, as the audience points out every show.
They are gorgeous two hairs. I enjoyed, shout out to Eddie Murphy on Saturday Night Live the other night, though, because Velvet Jones.
I still need to catch up on that. Yeah.
Okay. Spectacular viewing after this and after watching the Kelly Minkin show. But Velvet Jones would be the ultimate perm character from the 1980s.
So what do you think of, like, Mike McDermott / Matt Damon dropping out of law school? Is that like an atrocity, or do you support his decision?
I mean, I can't support it, but okay. So it's sad because if he didn't drop out and give up, Rounders would be. I mean, it would be what I aspire to, right? Like Mike McDermott's kick-ass.
Right.
And the deeper I've gotten into poker, there are people who are those characters. I'm not going to use names because I don't want to put anyone in an awkward spot, but like Joey Knish is a very real person who I'm fortunate to represent. I don't think it was based on him. I think it was based on someone else. But like, there are people in poker who play that sort of parental role,
sure,
etc. And the further you get into the industry, I've run into some Teddy KGB type characters. But no, he drops out. He gets in a cab. He doesn't even take an Uber, probably because Uber didn't exist. But whatever. I do find it amusing that the buy-in for the World Series of Poker is still the same, so the quote at the end holds true. One day it's going to go up to like $15K, and that movie's going to be antiquated. And that will be tragic.
Maybe it will, maybe it won't.
The first summer that the main event went up to $10K, if you adjust for inflation, it's the equivalent of like $67,000 in today's money.
Due to inflation, actually the World Series of Poker is getting cheaper to enter every year.
Yes, which is a reason everyone watching should come enter it this summer.
Shout out to the World Series of Poker.
Yeah. Great movie. Wish you hadn't dropped out. I will say, people ask me all the time if I should go to law school, and the answer I give is that it is a grueling, largely sadomasochistic 3-year undertaking. It is not nearly as enjoyable as some movies, Legally Blonde in particular, suggest. And if you think you just need to do one iota better than Mikey McDermott, I think you are seeing yourself. For all the sort of jokes and humor and all the nostalgia I have about my Summit Hard Rock days, there was a pretty tight group of 6 to 8 of us. 2 of us passed the bar and became lawyers. So a lot of people spent a lot of money on an education, and it did not pan out.
An education that you can't get for $1.50 a late charges at the library.
I mean, do libraries still charge late fees?
I don't, probably.
How are you going to be competitive with Google Books if you're charging late fees?
I'm surprised they still exist, but I know they do.
I always just assumed that was so the homeless population had restroom facilities.
Can't answer that one.
Like, I know the New York City Public Library is this bastion of the arts and actually really ought to be propped up.
Yeah.
But a lot of the small town libraries just seem very much anachronistic.
I don't know. I mean, I go to some of the local libraries or whatever, like when I need like quiet time and just enclose it. They're public offices.
When I was in high school, I spent a summer at Princeton University, not attending Princeton. Let's not inflate a resume. But one of the tricks I discovered back then was I joined or got a library card, whatever it was, and I could rent VHS tapes there pretty much for free.
Right.
Which is better than Blockbuster,
right.
Which, 1, charged me.
I did that, yeah.
And 2, expected me to both be kind and rewind, which, let's be honest, wasn't happening. That's also probably anachronistic, and I think we're down to like 1 or 2 Blockbusters. But
I think there's like 1, and it was name dropped in Captain Marvel.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think in Alaska, where the cost of high-speed internet is still prohibitive, there is a niche for DVD rentals.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yes, North Pole, Alaska, which is going to be prominently featured in the media over the next 48 hours, I have to think.
So let's go over your hands on Live at the Bike, and you have a particular hand that you may want to do some explaining, because the viewers may be a bit harsh on you.
Okay, this can't possibly be a good thing.
It's probably not this one. Or actually, it might be this one.
All right, so this is a Barry game.
It is this. This is the one that needs your explaining, because a lot of people ripped on you for it. I don't really judge because I know...
No, you can judge. That's okay.
Well, no, it's because like I know when you're there, you don't see everything, so there's a lot of things that you...
Right, okay, so just to state the obvious for people at home, even though you can see our cards, we can only see our own cards. We can't see everyone else's. By the way, King 7 suited, if it's not Barry's game, that's outside my range. So let's start with the fact this is an aberration, even with 3 people behind, and it looks like I am What am I, under the gun?
You are in the third eye blind.
Okay. This must have been like
with some charmed cards.
5, 10, 20.
Semi-charmed cards.
All right, so I have flopped top pair and what is colloquially known as a flush draw, which means that if one more spade comes, I will have a good hand. The graphics here seem to suggest I've folded. I think my hand's going to come back, though. Shout out to Natalia, who sat next to me. I know very little about this woman, but she was charming. All right, so looks like someone bet out. I called 400, and now we have Mark Thompson, the living legend that he is.
Shout out to Mark Thompson.
Who's going to 3-bet to 1525. Can we pause it for a second?
Yes, we can.
Okay, although I think I'm going to go into the tank in a second. So, a couple things to point out at this juncture. I've played with Barry and Mark for dozens of hours, if not more. We might be pushing 100 hours. These are both regulars in our monthly game. I know them both very well. They are both extraordinary gentlemen, and they're both very good poker players. Their ranges could not be more diametrically opposite. Barry Woods, if he's in a hand, any 2 cards and potentially a joker. Mark Thompson might, in late position, play something a little haywire, but for the most part, if there's pre-flop action, and he's coming along, he has respectable cards, which is pretty much going to be any combination of face cards or a pocket pair, and with what the pre-flop action was, I don't even think 2s or 3s are going to be in his range, which matters because there's a 2 on the board. Now, post-flop, say what you will about Barry having a really prophylactic range. He'll see a lot of flops. He's not going to, at any stakes, large or small, he's not going to keep coming along with nothing if there's real betting. You know, if you're min betting, if you're throwing $20 into the pot, maybe. But with serious action, if he's coming along, he's going to have real hands. So, I've got top pair. And on the action in front of me, it is clear a pair of kings is absolutely not good, let alone a pair of kings with a 7 kicker. Right? Now, having top pair is somewhat helpful, although it turns out I'm wrong about this, because it is a blocker. If we have 2 people coming with action like this, Mark Thompson's range at this point is pretty much a set, king-jack, or a flush draw, ace-high. And of the sets, I don't think it can be 2s, because I don't think he comes to the flop with 2s. And it's probably not kings, because I block him. Now, of course, I'm wrong about that. But so my thinking is Mark Thompson has either a set of jacks or an ace-high flush draw. For Barry Woods, who also knows Mark Thompson really well, to be calling behind on a 3-bet, it's got to be either an ace-high flush draw, a set, or 2 pair. Now, Barry, unlike Mark, could have any of the 3 sets and any combination of 2 pair. I block a king, so probably not that. By the way, Mark Thompson also, if it's an ace-high flush draw, it's a weird one because it's going to have to be ace-queen or ace-10. Can't be ace-jack because the jack is out there. Can't be ace-king because I have the king. And I don't see him coming to the flop with ace-9 suited. Maybe. So Barry's 2 pair, a set, or an ace-high flush draw, and Mark Thompson's pretty much a set, king-jack, or an ace-high flush draw. I guess we can start it up again, although I think we're going to start it up just in time to see me go into the tank like Flipper.
Kings, jacks, king, jack. Shout to Flipper.
Yes.
Something like ace, king, spades, queen, 10 of spades.
All right, so Barry shoves. I think I start just swearing aimlessly, which, you know, it's important to have personality. That's what Lloyd Price taught us. And it's clear that Mark Thompson's Mark Thompson's 3-bet to 1525. He's coming along for the ride. So I'm going to be against 2 players. And I know that my king is no good, which means I'm drawing to a flush. And I think there is a 50-50 shot that one of them has the ace of spades. If one of them has the ace of spades, that means they're on the draw, right? Because that's roughly half of each of their ranges. And if one of them has the ace of spades, that means, 1, my draw is no good. And again, And two, there's actually one less spade out there, which means the odds of hitting it go down precipitously. The only thing that gets me to tank as long as I do, actually, is the thought that what if both of them are on a flush draw? Is it possible they both have ace X? Well, but you can't. Only one of them can have the ace, and I don't think the queen gets there, and there can't be a queen jack. So I find the fold button. I get ridiculed for this hand. I was so emotionally downtrodden over this, I actually reached out to a couple of clients. Perk to my job is I'm surrounded by some of the best poker players in the world, and had them pull up the tape, had them run hand range analysis, and do some probability calculations with me. They told me I made the right fold. I don't know if they were just trying to gently stroke my ego. I would check the chat, but I have no doubt the chat will just be vicious for the sake of being vicious.
Sure. Cut to scene. Max, the people that Mac requested, they're like, how do we change these ranges so it's a good fold?
Right.
No, but the other thing is, like, if somebody had, like, queen 10 of spades and ace, 3 of spades, then, that makes a difference too. But, yeah. And here's the heartbreaking part is when the runouts come.
Yeah, I would have chopped.
Ooh.
And the fact that it's the ace, obviously,
You're like, wait, that's supposed to be in somebody's hand.
So, I mean, like, let's be clear. If I had the ace of spades in my hand, it's a snap call.
Sure.
But I didn't have the ace of spades in my hand.
And now we're just going to needle you forever.
That's fine. Treat me like a quilt. Or
There's Matt Salzberg, who I want to get on the show, but he's busy, and we need to find free time for him.
I love Matt Salzberg.
All these wild animals on the show.
So I don't know what...
Feral animals.
Feral, there you go. All right, so I have ace-9 of hearts. That is in my range for those of you who are trying to get a read on me. Ace high card suited is something I traditionally play. Why do I traditionally play it? Because I like winning money. Now, Matt Salzberg has pocket aces. That's also in my range. I find that to be an above average starting hand.
I agree.
Right. I love it when JJ calls them the American Airlines. Makes me think of the old Miami Arena. You see Barry with the Jack 6 suited. That is a Barry Woods hand, if ever there was one. And you see Queskin with the 4 deuce suited. I guess with that much action, there's an argument to taking 2 bluff catchers and just hoping for a short flop.
Shout out to Aaron Queskin in the Hangout.
Love Aaron. Went to the Hangout. Best food in Huntington Beach,
That's
potentially best food in Southern California. And great environment, by the way. And really cool job at the Hangout, too, with the new construction. All right, so ace-9 called 105. That's not surprising to me. I'm going to flop 4 to a flush. This time I do have a nut flush draw, so I am not worried about someone having a superior flush draw. That is important, and with this many people and this much money in the pot, I should be getting odds to call just about anything on an unpaired board. I'm hoping I do call and I don't make myself look like a fool in a second.
Oh, you fold right here. You just fold.
I'm wearing my old bullet cufflinks, which I haven't worn in a long time. Those are actually spent bullet shells. It was a subtle means of trying to intimidate these guys.
Oh, they were scared. I
know,
could tell.
right? You can see it in their eyes.
I mean, Aaron Queskin's like terrified right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, one thing worth pointing out, because we do play as a group this often, even though we loosen up a lot for Live at the Bike, I am still a relatively tight player, and most of them know that. I'm also a relatively passive player, so when I'm nonchalantly calling off 3 1/4, my range is balanced. I should be able to have everything from a set of jacks to a flush draw. 10-4 is not in my range. Jack 10 is in my range. But they should know that I have some strength. And the only other draws that would really play into my range here are Queen 9 and King Queen.
Not 9-8. I'm just trolling.
9, it may be suited. Right, I've always wanted one of those, but it was suited t-shirts.
Troll is real. I just gotta keep you on your toes,
As a kid, I had a troll collection. I loved their hair. Whether or not that means I played with dolls, I don't know.
Did you know that in the Trolls movie, Barry Woods was actually their first choice, but they weren't going to pay him enough? So.
I believe that. That means it's got standards.
And he does go all in finally after thinking it through.
So, Salty shoves. Barry with his Jack 6, I don't know why he is...
Cold call a 3 bet.
I do not pretend to understand the mystery that is Barry Woods, other than to say he is actually a very good poker player and one of the best heads-up poker players I've ever met.
He has destroyed Doug Polk, which I lost to, and so did Zach Freeman.
Because he's got Mac behind
To be clear, he flashed the jack, but not in such a way that I could see at him across the table from him.
Speaking of Zach Freeman, I talked to him yesterday, like a day or two ago, and he wants to come on PokerCraft as well. So tune into that one.
But a lot of people don't want to come on here.
Yeah.
I'm thinking aloud. I'm hoping I find. I have no recollection of this hand, but I don't see. I mean, I'm getting the value to call. Let's put it that way. It's $1,000 into a $3,000 pot on a flush draw. And it's possible that if an ace hits, I'm good. Now, it turns out that's not true. But from my read of this board, watching this now, not knowing Salty has pocket aces, I have to think that there's also a chance my ace would be good. And it doesn't matter, though. Flush draw is giving me enough value. Okay, I do find the call button.
And he gets Mac to call off. Mac needs a heart.
A jack, that's a scare card. Fortunately, I got no more chips.
No.
And my flush does not
That's
come home.
Salzburg.
So pocket aces in this situation, boys and girls, are good. Because two pair beats jacks on the communal board with an ace kicker.
Professional.
I know, right?
Shout out to Matt Salzberg. Follow him on Twitter. The guy's funny. What's his Twitter? I know I follow him, but
I know the name is Salty. I don't remember what the handle is. Him and Jamie have some fabulous Twitter banter.
absolutely.
All right, so this is me as one of the fashion leaders of our time.
Yeah, that's bringing sexy back.
All right, so let's talk about the outfit. I think that's actually important to understanding who I am. One of the things about my job is we're fortunate to represent poker players all over the U.S. And most years, I literally end up touching all 48 lower states. It is not uncommon for me through road trips and air trips to hit all 48 in a year. Texas is a big goddamn state. There's not a lot of great dining in Texas, and when you're driving across West Texas, there's not a lot of stuff that you're really sure cleared whatever the local health code may be. Whataburger is an integral part of my diet. They make spectacular hamburgers. They have fabulous fries. They have spicy ketchup. You get to be my size, my girth. You appreciate that. So yeah, I bought their ugly Christmas sweater. All right, in this hand, I have been dealt pocket kings.
So Scott limps early with pocket fives. Kelly Minkin raises ace-4 of hearts. Mac, sneaky, just calls with kings.
All right, so to begin with, Scott is Scott Hansberry. He is the CEO of U-Stake. Tyler is Tyler Hancock. He is the CEO of Stake Kings. Shout out to our staking clients and our friends in the staking business.
Shout out.
If I'm calling, this is something I'll fully admit it because there's enough footage for people to figure it out. Aces or kings early position on an aggressive table. My preferred play is a smooth call, wait for the raise behind, and then shove. And I'm hoping I either shove or make a big raise here. If not, I'm going to be embarrassed that I just suggested that's how this should be played. I am holding more chips than are needed to call, which suggests, yep.
Oh, professional.
There you go.
Professional.
So coming over the top, because I reasonably believe my kings are good, Kelly's range is fairly elastic, as is Tyler's. The fact that Tyler gives me a quick call is probably a little unsettling, but I don't think it's aces or he would have shoved. And I don't know what Kelly's going to do here.
I have to comment. You mean inelastic or elastic?
Elastic, like it's a broad range.
Oh, okay. I would have. Okay, never mind. I was thinking the other way. It should be limited because he flatted.
Oh, I'm just saying coming into a hand. Yeah. And so Kelly does come along. I shove because I have like no chips left. I had an awkward stack size. They're both going to fold on me, aren't they? Kids, this is a reminder of why you should just shove pre-flop and get hands like ace-king to call you, as opposed to trying to trap them and hoping they hit an inferior card. Also, if an ace hits, I would have had to shove anyway, just based on the size of the pot at that point in time. So I end up losing, I don't know how much it is in value. I think this graphic might be a little bit off. But having an awkward stack size prohibited me from shoving beforehand. Not prohibited. Caused me not to do what I ought to have done. But unless Kelly does something weird and I totally don't remember this, I believe the chips in the pot will be awarded to me by the dealer shortly.
Spoilers.
I know, right?
I mean, as with all no-limit hams, if you have a decision to make, take your time,
Yes.
And you do take the pot. And I got a timeout and shout out Tony Fisher, who says, Kelly is hot.
I work with Kelly. I'm not going to dignify that one way or another.
All right, well,
she is a self-confident woman.
She's a lovely lady. I call all my ladies on the show. But no,
Said
I mean,
woman,
really,
not, yeah, yeah.
Kelly's on. Shout out to Joe Kim, who's like, "Are you really a
love
StarCraft
Joe.
world champion?" I'm just like, "Yes."
Joe Kim is an
Google
awesome,
it.
awesome individual and a valued part of the Los Angeles community. And by the way, shout out to Live at the Bike for letting us do this as our holiday party. This is the most fun I've ever had at a Law Firm holiday party. The fact that Barry showed up dressed like the Joker or the Riddler. I think it is the Riddler.
He had this on when he was three-handed with Jamie Gold and Esfandiari. He had this jacket.
It's on the wall. Like,
Okay.
the photo of him on the wall is him wearing that jacket.
It's ironic because the viewers come in for his hairdo, not his jacket.
I mean, I just keep thinking, like, riddle me this, riddle me that, who was, like, the big black bat. 1987 Val Kilmer, I want to say, was
Not
Batman.
87. It's later than 87. Like the original one's 92, I believe, or 8.
Hold on, the
89.
original one's like the TV show.
No. I mean the original Michael Keaton one. I think is 89.
Yeah, but this was Val Kilmer.
The Val Kilmer's the third one.
Oh, never mind. I know Michael Keaton's
like,
real name is
super-
not Michael Keaton, by the way.
Yeah, DC and Marvel is definitely not going to have you represent them. You don't even know. I'm just kidding.
That's okay. Other than like Archie and Veronica and Betty, I never got too far into the comics. Although with age, I've come to appreciate Peanuts.
You just want to deal with the nuts.
No comment. Dilbert is an American icon, and Office Space is one of the great films of our time.
That is true.
Yes.
Who wasn't even supposed to? No, that was the Clerks. I was like, it wasn't even supposed to be there today.
All right, Ace X suited. Looks like I was the aggressor because I want to control pot size on a loose table. I'm going to make a C bet because 2-3-7 is a pretty useless flop, especially if people know that I'm relatively tight, which I'm hoping they give me credit for. So I'm just trying to represent an overpair, which I do not have. This is bluffing, or as more realistically called, lying. As an attorney, I try to be careful to maintain the integrity of the profession, but I am allowed to bluff in poker games. Landon calls, trying to put him on something here. I do not put him on 7-6 suited. I'm thinking two face cards. 10 gives me, not a scare, but the thought that maybe ace 10 could be in his range. King 10 suited could also be in his range, although we've now got a rainbow board. I'm going to continue my C bet, mostly because I have an inside straight draw, and I think an ace is good. So I think I have 8 outs. And I was hoping he would fold. He does not. But in the grand tradition of Hoover products, I suck out on the river, make a wager, and I believe he's going to be too intelligent to call said wager, which is unfortunate. I wanted to get paid off, and I did not.
Shout out to Double L.
Damn straight.
I really wish we had the Jeopardy music during. Yeah. Which is
I can't go
anybody's
too far.
hanks.
There's copyright issues.
All right.
Yeah.
No, I know. We always have to pay attention. Shout out to Guido's in the chat. We're going to re-record his PokerCraft because there were technical difficulties when it went live.
I love Guido. All I see is ribeye. Oh, ribeye. Ribeye seems right up your alley, Guido.
That was my joke on Live on the Bike.
There you go.
It's when you get stacked. Do you go for the ribeye or do you go for the ribeye?
Yeah, but he's a purveyor of meats. That what
I know.
makes that all the more entertaining. You don't purvey meat. All right. We have Natalia back again. I believe she is Russian. Yep.
So, Return of the Mac raises with 5s.
Fives are a quality hand when paired together. We've Kenna James. This was a great game. Salty, eating something way too green. I don't endorse that variety of nutrition, boys and girls. I mean, that's like the ultimate Los Angeles thing, anything with avocado.
You claim that you and Barry are friends, but you guys always get in pods and you always just like take his money.
Well, the thing is this, if I have any confidence in my hand, because his range is so broad... Okay, so this is actually frightening, because he could have a 6, but thankfully we pair the board on the river, I go full. I did not have any inkling at the time that it gives him trips. Giving him trips makes this all the easier to get paid off. And if you want to know what's going through my head at this moment, ladies and gentlemen, it is how much can I wager and get called. And what do I have to do to sell it? Do I have to move an eyebrow? Do I have to make a comment? Do I have to flatter the man? Do I have to tell Salty that his food looks good?
Just talk about his hair. His hair's dope. His
hair is great.
He's not wearing the jacket, though.
Like that, I mean, poster child for coastal California.
He was like...
This was a warmer month. He doesn't need a jacket.
He was like, people don't come and play unless the fish arrive, referring to himself. I'm like, well, the show can't start until they see your latest hairdo. Like, I don't know why he's so
I still don't think he's... The man is not a fish. The man is a talented poker player, and especially heads up, his reads are phenomenal.
And he bluffed out Ryan Fee, beat Doug Polk heads up. Like, I don't even have
tape.
that resume.
Okay,
yeah.
Reasons to subscribe to Live at the Bike. Watching that is beyond entertaining. When I'm working at home and there's no good college football or boxing on, I will put old Live at the Bike shows or Dan Aykroyd, Jane Curtin weekend updates on, and they're of equal entertainment value.
So,
back
on
us.
See
us again.
And
we've aged a little bit, but not too much.
I know.
Hold on. I look like heftier, and I don't know why. Okay.
So, yeah, we'll take call-ins.
All right, be gentle on the phones, people. This was always the best part of the old Larry King shows.
It's Wayne King now.
There you go. You are a king in your own time, and this is your palace.
I have a nickname for it. After the Marvel movies came out, King 3 of Hearts, or 3 King of Hearts, is I Love You 3000.
There you go.
Boom.
I like that.
848. Who's this? This is Live at the Bike.
This is Jamie.
What's up, Jamie?
Hey, Jamie, did I call the right number? Hi.
Hi, Jamie. How are you?
Hey, Mac. I'm good. My house is overrun by tiny humans that are related to me right now for Christmas, but other than that, I'm good.
That is astonishing, but 'tis the season. Hopefully there's a tiny dog who's marginally related to you as well.
Yes. He's sleeping with a bunch of toddlers right now. It's really cute.
Crouton shout-out is good for ratings, Wayne.
Shout out to Crouton.
Yes.
How are you guys doing?
Jimmy, we're having fun. We've discussed everything from Marvel Comics to Legally Blonde to why my range is creaky and how I don't know how to properly read a poker hand.
And shout out to your podcast with Marley.
Yes.
Oh,
Jamie
thank you.
And Marley. Yeah.
She also does one with Chad.
Oh.
Jamie is like omnipresent in poker media, poker circles, in most of American high society. Like one
I'm
night you see her with
it's
Marley.
also known as a podcast slut.
Your words, not mine.
Nor
we do
mine.
work together, and I have to be careful with the language I utilize in a workplace setting. Jamie, I think the general idea this evening is to mock, taunt, and otherwise put me in my place.
Yeah.
So give us your best shot in the spirit of 1980s music.
Okay, I feel like your place would be like at Stone's Casino.
Okay. Moving right along, there are certain things we choose not to discuss because they relate to pending litigation, and that's one of them.
True.
But we appreciate that. Jamie, you're better known than me. It is inconceivable that anyone watching this is not familiar with you and your seasonal hits. She is the star of such programs as World Series of Poker Main Event, Today 8, the soothing commentary that joins Norm and Chad in the booth and offers much more comical relief than certain other people. Jamie's also a graduate of the University of Michigan School of Law, which is a finer educational institution than the one to which I attended.
Shout out to you, Mish.
Yes. And Jamie, how long have you been with us, Jamie? I feel like it's been a couple of years.
At least 2 years, yeah. Because it was when I think I talked to you and Scott made the WSOP final table.
That's right.
And now
so
that feels
Jamie
like ancient history.
knows Scott Blumstein, the legend that is, the man who is the reason I stop at Panda Express every time I drive through Barstow. There's a long story to that.
Okay.
But yes, the two of them are acquainted and keep in regular touch, and she ran his rail, I believe.
Yeah,
is that
it
accurate?
was pretty sweet. Yeah,
Jamie,
that was still like the most fun day of poker ever because we just got to drink and root for our friend. And I feel like when you have, even when you don't have a swap, I didn't even have a swap with him, but I just got to get drunk and see how it feels for someone to make day 8 of the main. It was awesome.
Right, so someone watching at home this evening is going to final table the main event this summer. There is a 100% correlation between people who have Jamie Kerstetter run their rail and people who win the main event. I just want to put that out
That's
there.
true.
Post talk, ergo prop talk, I don't know. But I think there's something to that.
Yeah,
Jamie, will you rail me when I play the main?
for sure. If you make it to the final table, I'll be there. I think drinking and railing is like a very underrated aspect of tournament poker. It's the most fun. It's the only place I can play poker and not lose money, right? I can just be there and like help my friend win a tournament.
And that was quite the tournament to pick. If you want, we could do like test runs. I've been wanting to do the Flamingos got a $30 multi-table every Thursday at I think 1 p.m. And I've always thought it'd be fun to get like 9 or 10 really quality poker pros and to just go over there and stick it to whatever goddamn tourists decide to throw their money at it that day. And Jamie, perhaps you could either join us as one such esteemed professional or be our rail and heckle the tourists.
I thought you were a busy man, Mac.
I tried, just like Macy Gray. But, I mean,
Makes
this
times for
Thursday it's going to be
special
quiet.
events,
Yeah. Jamie, where in the country do you find yourself this fine evening?
I am in New Jersey in the house I grew up in, and everyone's coming to my house for Christmas this year. It's pretty cool.
Okay, I'm not going to make it.
I just
It's
actually
really
was
sweet.
in Philly.
Yeah.
I was in Philly for most of the day. I went to visit Jen Shahadi and hang out with her little kid, Fabi. He's
Shout
so
out
cute.
to Jen, who
Shout
we
out to
love. Jen is the intersection of the chess community and the poker community. That Venn diagram is basically Jen, Katie Stone, and perhaps some
Dan
other.
Smith.
There you go.
There's a couple. I mean,
Shout out to Dan Smith. Yeah.
would you, both you lovely ladies, like to come on Live at the Bike one of these days? Have that.
Maybe. I know she'd have a tough time because she's a 3-year-old at home and she's all the way in Philly. I'd have an easier time because I'm in Vegas, so I can definitely hop over there. It's a pretty short flight.
All right. I mean,
You can do the drive. It's the fear and loathing drive. Right? Every time an attorney drives from Los Angeles to Vegas, I think you have to at least pay mental, emotional tribute to the life and times of Hunter S. Thompson. That movie inspired
That's
me on
true.
any number of levels. And whenever I go through Barstow, I just keep thinking, like, this is Bat Country.
Yo, goddamn bats and flying manorays.
Without using names or identifying details, about 6 months ago, someone came in for a consult, and they were explaining what had happened, and I was trying to get an understanding of the level of mayhem, and the descriptive verbiage they elected to utilize was just, and I quote, a fear and loathing briefcase. And that was all the mental image I needed. Love Hunter S. Thompson. Love everything about that book, including the blood splatters on the page.
Yeah, he was a boss.
Yes. Jamie, you are an asset to our law firm. You are an asset to our clients, and you make me a better lawyer and a better person. Thank you for joining us on this deeply bizarre biographical.
I thought you were going to be airing your grievances, but you just said a bunch of nice stuff the whole time.
Well, we did that before you called in. It's easier to do it if the person's not there to respond.
Smart, very smart.
and I rail your
thanks
work.
for
I
having me,
complimented. Oh, sorry. What'd you say?
I just said
really
thanks for
work-
having me. It was fun.
Yeah, I rail your work. I complimented your appearance on Doug Polk's vlog, and
Oh, thank you.
need to catch up on your podcast with Marley, who I'm a fan of as well, and been on Live at the Bike. Unlike
Oh yeah, she's been on a bunch of times. I have to just make the trip. I'm a lazy person. I love my dog a lot, and it really makes me want to stay home a lot. But I'll make the trip at some point. I would like to. I watch a lot of Live at the Bike. I just haven't been on it.
Thank you. I mean, I'm shameless with the dumb jokes, but do you ever work in that your initials are JK? It's any jokes?
No, it gets pointed out all the time. Actually, one of my friends in law school used to just call me JK LOL.
That needs to catch on.
Right?
Sweet.
JK
Yeah.
LOL.
All right, Jamie.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for
All
calling
right,
in.
happy holidays, guys.
Okay.
Happy holidays.
Have
Good
fun.
Festivus.
Shout out to
Okay,
the puppies
bye.
and the little kids. And Jen.
Oh, thank you very much.
And Jen. All right.
Bye.
Right. I have somebody who I need to.
We are now calling someone.
Yeah.
What was the last number? Never mind.
I don't know, but we definitely need to get.
For those at home, I've never been in the Live at the Bike booth before, so this is a.
There's tougher security now, as you can see. Right? There's a lot of things going on.
It is rather secure. You can't see the ankle monitor I'm wearing, but the LAPD insisted it was necessary. And shout out to the bail bondsman who set me up this evening.
Hello.
Oh my
Hello,
God.
this is Live at the Bike. Who's this?
This is Igor. I know Mac. I've run into Mac a few times. I have a question for him.
This is.
Can
the
you
man,
answer
the myth, and the legend.
a legal question for me?
I potentially so. Let's see.
By
What
the
sort
way,
of trouble are you in?
For the guys who don't know who this is Barry Woods.
Yes.
The Legends.
The man
No,
himself.
you're supposed to not say that.
Barry,
no,
let's do
what I
the
wanna know is-
basics. Does she have a pulse?
The basics are, I was playing poker last week, and this bitch slow rolled me 3 times, and I want to know if I have a legal case against her.
That bitch is one of the finest attorneys in the Phoenix, Arizona area, and Kelly Minkin herself. When you get to be of her stature, you earn the right to slow roll those amongst you and at the table. Could you claim intentional infliction of emotional duress? Yes.
Yes,
would I be
that's
happy
it.
to
That's
take
what
that
I'm claiming.
case if I did not have the mother of all conflicts? Yeah, mostly because it would be fun shits and giggles to represent you at a deposition. But I don't know. I suspect a learned jury would tell you to man up.
Yeah, I've been told that many times on many occasions for many things. What I will do is I will play her again and hopefully have the privilege of slow rolling her. But I must say, in her defense, go ahead, interrupt me, whatever you want, your show.
No. It is always your
Kick
show.
off the Chinaman.
This is your world.
No,
we merely play supporting characters, Barry.
No, I enjoy being. Yes, what? Speak.
Somebody just called the bike. They said you can't use the word Chinaman.
I can't use the word Chinaman? That's
can,
sort
like,
of bullshit.
you
I mean, my
Whatever. I'm joking. Whatever.
you can't.
This is PokerCraft.
It's a person from China.
It is true.
How about
we went
China
over
woman?
this.
China
Yeah, well,
person would be
yeah. Okay, he's a China person.
There's a
Yeah,
David
no, I
Bowie
enjoy
album,
playing with
isn't
Kelly.
there?
And she's, out of what?
I just feel like there's a China connection out there. But you were going to say something nice about Kelly, or that you would welcome the opportunity to play with her again, which I think would be good for ratings. I mean, the two of you are ratings dynamite, and you have chemistry. I mean, you have more chemistry than most of the people who teach that 9th grade class.
No, I enjoy playing with her. She takes the shit, and she gives it. And I've been only slow rolled. Well, she did 3 of them, so I guess it's 4 times. One was by Matt Salzberg.
Oh.
And his pissed me off. Kelly's the first one got me, you know. I thought it was all in good fun, so it was fine. You know, I probably deserved it at some point. So, but I do look forward to playing with her again, and maybe if she wants to play in one of my games that I have on a monthly basis, I'd be happy to have her.
I'm sure she'd be delighted to come, and I can...
I'm going to speak for her and say, oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, look, those games are the highlight of my month, most months out of the year. Yeah, guys, no one puts on a finer occasion than Barry Woods himself, and as much as Kelly may have a vibrant personality, this is the man who leads the show.
I don't have to pay her hourly rate, do I?
No, for you we can
apparently
find some sort
paid
of
more.
fee waiver.
That's good. Yeah, I did.
Nicely
I
said,
did
Wayne.
that day too. Yeah, we didn't chop a pot. She won it. So
Yeah.
that wasn't a good
We
day.
saw you had kings and eights, and she had an open-ended straight draw and got there. So
Yeah, that
I don't know.
was cold. She stuck all her money in with that. That one was that hurt. The other ones, aces against ace king and stuff. And plus, the way she was betting, the way she was playing, you know, with 3-4 and 3 and 4 betting with nothing. That's why I called her as often as I did. Unfortunately, with shoving it at ace king, I thought I had the best of it. You know, lo and behold, no. So,
seems an accurate reflection
it
of
was fun.
yourself on some level. I will say one thing that came up in that game that I've never had as a variable in any of my games before We agreed at some point that with chop pots we would Rochambeau for the win, and I think that is a spectacular dynamic that ought to sweep home games across the country. Or fuck it, do it in the main event.
I think it's great. Landon didn't want to do it, but he had pots that were $8,000. But I thought it'd be a great idea. Nobody likes it. Despite the refrain, everybody loves a chopped pot. No, they don't. I think one person should win.
Your sister.
Yeah, well, no, some people do that. I have a cousin who married their cousin, so kissing your sister is nothing.
I think Giuliani married a cousin.
Shout out to Wayne. Shout out to Wayne's family.
Shout out to my family.
Shout out to the British monarchy.
Kissing your sister, kissing your brother, whatever Wayne's family does.
So Barry, I have to ask you, when we're texting back and forth, ripping on each other, are you laughing? Because I seriously am laughing my ass off. And I gave him a taste.
Well, I'm driving. I'm driving most of the time, so I can't laugh and text and drive.
You can't laugh driving.
Correlation.
No. The texts do crack me up. Some I'll belly laugh or wet myself. Others are just Wayne jokes. But overall,
high quality,
I enjoy the texting.
I showed
just so long as it doesn't become texting with you.
Oh, I think we already crossed that line.
I'm not touching that with a 10-foot whatever. Even if Barry
10-foot
your
pole.
Yeah, I saw that coming.
One of us may need you, Matt.
Just to be clear, correlation between successful.
Shout out to Mac, who's one of the finest human beings. You stepping on my lines here, China Doll? Mac, who's not only a great lawyer, a good friend, above average, below expert poker player, has some good reads. He's fun to be with at the table, and if anybody gets the chance to play the same table, they should grab it. It's a delight for everybody. I love having him in the game. It just raises the level. Poker level down, but raises the level of entertainment up.
Best manager wedding. I mean,
thank you, Barry. That is the kindest thing anyone has said about me ever since it's a boy.
I'm going to invite him. He's going to wear that same outfit. Anybody ever teach you how to tie a bow tie?
It can be tied. Okay, so let's take an opportunity. I will show people at home. I actually brought my Monopoly board bow tie as an homage to Atlantic City because every spot on the Monopoly board exists in Atlantic City except for free parking they charge nowadays. But there was a bit of a sizing issue, so I decided to do the Sinatra-style thing and go untied. Barry, unlike you, I can't pull off the tux with the tied bow tie. I'm not classy enough.
I can get you the name where I can get you a poker suit if you like, or a onesie.
Your poker suit's actually quite cool, and also I'm loving the clown horn in the background.
He's horny.
Well, we can do okay. For my next game, we're all going to wear the poker suit. Everybody's got to get a poker suit. I'll reimburse them the $99.
No need to reimburse. I'm happy to carry my own freight. I believe your next game is toward the end of January.
It is.
And I will absolutely...
January 29.
I have played live at the bike in drag. I have played live at the bike in a Whataburger sweater. I will absolutely play live at the bike in a poker suit, and I will look forward to the opportunity to do so.
Cool. Love it. Oh, I like it.
Loving
it. That's your Monopoly bow tie. Cool.
It's like the light.
Classy.
Barry, thank you for calling in, and thank you for the kind words. This means more than I properly give off.
No problem. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for being a friend and for joining us on my little foray into poker. I appreciate it every month.
My pleasure all around.
And Wayne,
there's a lot of pleasuring going on.
Look, have yourself a good Festivus and advance wishes for a very Merry Christmas.
You too. Happy holidays and happy Hanukkah to you, Matt.
Mahayim.
Thank you. L'chaim.
All right.
See you guys later.
See you later. All right, 301. I know you're constantly calling in, so I'm going to see who this is.
I'm pretty sure I know who that is. Yeah. Well, this is going to be an experience.
Hello. 301 is live at the bike.
I'm sorry?
Who is this?
This is my father.
Yeah, this is live at the bike.
Yes.
Hi, Dad.
You too. Happy holidays.
Hi.
Dad, turn down your speaker a little bit. There's something of a delay.
Mute it.
Folks out there in Pokerland, this is my father who genuinely is the finest gentleman I've ever been fortunate to know and who I owe just about everything to. Dad, how are you?
Well, I'm fine, and I just really called in because I was listening to the banter, and I have to tell you, my goal in life is really to sit down at a poker table and play with Barry. You know, I've watched him, I've watched his suits, I've watched his hair. His hair is questionable, by the way.
Oh.
And, you know, if he thinks Kelly can slow roll him, he really needs to wait to meet me.
Okay. I think that is a challenge, and I think we can make that happen on Live at the Bike, given the right opportunity.
Yeah, we'll make it happen.
Well, we can. We would be thrilled to have you out here.
Well, I intend to come, and other than that, I was sitting here watching, and I felt an obligation to call.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Folks, this is genuinely my father. This is genuinely the man about whom I feel more strongly and affectionately than I'm going to get into on air for fear of being a little too emotional.
Well, let me be clear. This is the man that corrupted him by putting him on a bus from Princeton University to Atlantic City and walking him up to the Trump Plaza, I believe, and putting him at a crap table at the age of 13.
So, true story. When I was 13, that did happen. I was off studying for the summer. My father was going up to Atlantic City with some friends and told me to get on a bus. I got on a Greyhound and come on in. And this was in the days when a Greyhound into Atlantic City was just swarms of little old ladies with buckets full of quarters, which in and of itself was something of a religious experience. But I get to Atlantic City, and I remember my father, told me that I should go onto the casino floor. And much like today, you have to go through a pretty narrow passageway to get onto a casino floor. And I said, I'm 13. I looked a little bit older, but I did not have the facial hair with the gray that I do today. And he said, this is very easy. You run up to the guard, whoever is there guarding it, with confidence and chutzpah. And you say, I have to piss like a racehorse. Where is the closest bathroom? And they will point you right onto the casino floor, and you'll never be questioned. And that is how I gambled underage, and that is probably where the slow decline of my social suitability began. And, Dad, I love you for that, and I appreciate that.
I have no doubt that this is a fundamental cause of the divorce between your mother and myself.
Okay, we're not touching the 10-foot pole.
But it was good to talk to you. I enjoy watching the show, and I look forward to coming out and joining it one day.
Thank you for calling in. We love you.
Thank you. Shout out to the Mac
Bye.
Daddy or Daddy Mac.
There you go.
All right, well, that's what we got for today.
This was fun, so thank you to everyone for watching.
It was very educational, too.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Yeah. This has been an absolute blast. I don't put on the tuxedo just for any occasion, but for this, I'm glad I took it out of mothballs. And I can't imagine too many people tuned in for the first time to see me, but for those who come off the Verstandig Law mail list, who may not have seen this program before, this man is basically the Johnny Carson of poker. And one day we will find someone worthy of being his Doc Severinton or his Ed McMahon. But until then, this is a one-man show. He is a great interviewer. He gets some of the most fascinating and vibrant personalities in poker on the show. When they're not fascinating or vibrant, he lubricates them with enough alcohol to make them fascinating and vibrant. And this has become a really cool addition to the Live at the Bike ensemble of programming. And I think a highlight of Monday evenings when, let's be honest, there's not a ton of great things going on in the poker world. And this ought to be a staple of how people spend their Monday evenings, preferably with a microwavable dinner, just like the 1960s. Wayne, thank you for having me. This has been a blast. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And I'll do the shameless plug. If you find yourself in need of legal services, the Verstandig Law Firm, we service the poker community. We take great pride in it. And I like to think we're pretty damn good at it.
And if you doubt his credentials, just Google him, Mac Verstandig. They're just like, boom.
Yeah, we are proud of the note people take of us.
Smash that like button, hit subscribe. Thank you for tuning in. Peace.
Peace.